Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ginge Pedro Show, episode 17. I am, of course, Mr. Ginge Gingerton. I got alongside me my boy Pedro.
How
Pedro.
you doing, guys? It's hot in Panama.
Wow.
Hot
What
dang.
what is hot in Panama, really? Because it's 72 degrees in my house right now, and my fingers are cold. So, what's hot in Panama?
Oh, Panama would be 30.
It's
Yeah.
hot.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh,
All
it would
right.
be hot. It's like 70. Dude, I'm getting an echo here. Okay. Not anymore. Okay. Hot in Panama would be like 94. 94
Okay.
degrees.
Sure. All right. That's hot here too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Makes sense. All right then. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, anyways, so we got with us today. We got writer, creator, director, all around general gangster, David Chiza.
Uh,
David. Boom.
Hey,
this is a
what's
busy
going
man.
on, gentlemen?
Yo, what's up, bro? Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you for
Really,
having.
really, really
Thank you
excited to
so
have you, man.
much.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
so stoked to be here. Thank you so much.
Cool. Okay, so let's hop right into it, man. What got you into being a creative? Have you always been a creative in some way? Did you start writing as a kid early? Were you an artist? How did it start for you?
I've never been an artist. I've tried many times throughout the stages of my life, but just never clicked. And I think it's just already because time was divided. Like when I was a kid, the youngest kind of memories I have of being creative, there's two outlets for me. There's music. My parents had a collection of the Beatles live concerts, and I had a toy guitar, and I would just hold the guitar and stand in front of the TV and just bop and like pretend I was playing along with the Beatles and stuff. That's kind of
Awesome.
like my first memory of doing stuff with music,
Hmm.
which has now been in my life forever. And the other thing was film, and
Hmm.
I kind of did the same thing. The movie The Rocketeer. When I
Mm.
was a kid, when the main character in the beginning was in his a cockpit about to fly and take off and stuff, I would sit in my high chair and have a bunch of toys set up like a cockpit, and I had
Hmm.
these swimming goggles that I would use. The dude would pull down his goggles. I would do it at like the same time and then
Nice.
pretend I'm like flying in my high chair. I think I was like four years
Yeah.
old when I'm doing these things. These are kind of like the earliest memories I have where
Mm.
I'm trying to I'm trying to be like part of a collaboration that's happening in front of my eyes, you know? So those are the first
Hmm.
early memories I have of being creative and wanting to kind of explore that avenue of childhood.
Dude, you sparked my memory. Like, I
Yeah, bro.
remember that the character name, not the name of the actor, but like Cliff Secord and the flying like circus. Yeah,
Yes.
dude. Yeah. Oh, dude, the
Such a good
Rocketeer.
movie.
Yeah, awesome
Which
movie, man.
I didn't even know until years later that the Rocketeer was
Hmm.
a comic book before.
Yeah,
And I was blown away. I was like, no, of course, man. Like, what a
yeah,
great adaptation for such an old film.
yeah. So in the vein of not knowing it was a comic book, have comic books been a part of your life like throughout, or you discovered comic books later?
Definitely later.
Mm.
I didn't start reading comic books until I was 28
Mm.
years old. I'm 32 now. So
Oh, awesome.
it's been very new in my life.
Yeah, but that's also like a really good journey because I mean, there's so much to
Hmm.
discover. I mean, I
Oh my
started well.
god.
I started
Dude.
reading comics books earlier than you, but I was already old. I was like 23,
Mm.
and dude, like I read Deadpool, like Deadpool 14 by Joe Kelly. It's like, what the hell? This is the kind of storytelling. It's not just like pretty drawings.
Right.
And then looking back at all the things you have to discover to say I'm a comic book reader, because you actually feel bad. Like you're reading a comic book, but if there's are you a comic book reader? You say like, no, I don't know enough. You know,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of responsibility, man. But dude, starting the journey later, actually, to me, it's as valid and really cool. As I mean, like growing up with it as a kid is nice, but now I don't know. Like I've enjoyed the ride so far, and
Mhm.
I still lots of things to learn and read. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So David, what were some aside from like The Rocketeer, what were some of your later movies that really inspired you towards your sort of filmmaking direction?
Oh man. Uh, so Star Wars, Indiana
Yeah.
Jones. I was lucky enough to grow up with some amazing grandparents and an uncle. My dad, on my dad's side, he has six sisters and brothers. So I grew up with an Uncle Scott who had like a wall of 500 films on VHS, right?
Really
And my
awesome.
grandparents didn't, they didn't have that big of a collection, but they had the right collection. And they
Mm.
had these super old school furniture pieces, from the 60s that would you would open it up and like a VHS would like pop out.
Mm.
Like it's
Nice.
moving or something at you. So growing up with all the Star Wars films, all the Indiana Jones films, and movies like Willow, Last Action Hero, Terminator, like I loved Arnold, loved Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was a lot of like 90s action cheese and then classic, classic films, dramas and comedies and stuff like that.
So
Yeah.
okay, so growing up in the age of VHS and the tracking thing, did your parents in your parent collections? Because my dad had them. Was there like a very like, and I don't have other way to describe it, shitty movie that you loved? To me, it was Delta Force with Chuck Norris. And dude, like I've seen that movie like 77 times.
Mhm.
There's my dad's like, okay, here's the VHS, and there's 3 movies. So we got RoboCop, Delta Force, and National Lampoon's Vacation. I think
Oh
those are
wow.
the 2 movies we had at first. Then the collection got bigger, but then
Yeah.
I would cover 2 like Delta Force, like, over and over again. So is there a movie
Oh
like
my
that
gosh.
you like maybe feel, I don't know, apprehensive about?
I
watching
mean,
it so many times?
a lot.
Yeah.
Like growing up in the 90s, for as good as movies were in the 90s that came
Yeah.
out, there are also just some super terrible ones. And I do remember putting my parents through numerous viewings of Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Mm.
Oh,
And
man.
I rewatched the Mortal Kombat movies before the newest one came out. And when I was watching
Yeah.
Annihilation, I was like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
It is like they purposely made a bad movie, and
Yeah.
it was I was laughing so much at the movie and the choices they made for it. I was like, wow, I can't believe I loved this movie as a kid. Like
The Shao
that
Kahn
just
is
shows you you're
super over the
still
top.
oh
Yeah.
my God. But that's the thing about being a kid, right? You still have
Yeah.
that veil over your eyes where you don't find something in the thing to hate. You find
Mhm.
something in it to love.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
when you rewatch those old shitty movies, there is a part of you that's like, nah, I knew there was a reason why I liked this one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm.
kids just are amazing in that sense where they can see the good in anything. So
I actually really love Annihilation, and that was a movie for me that was big growing up, dude. I loved it, and I remember loving like just seeing all the extra characters. That was to me the coolest thing about it was seeing. I think it's like Ermac that gets like
Ermac,
smacked off into
Reptile, yeah,
just gets
Reptile's there too.
thrown away basically. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really love that movie.
Yeah, dude, like the things like I did call my parents and apologized. Because I mean, I don't have kids, but I have nephews, and I had a nephew that was obsessed with the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
oh
The
man.
horrible, like with Jeremy Irons, and he was like,
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons again. I was like, oh my god, I was
Oh
like,
my God.
Dad, I'm so sorry for Delta Force. I know what I put you through.
Oh
And so
man.
he only said like, yep, and he closed. It's like I sparked some PTSD on him or whatever.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So when did you sort of take or at what point did you decide? How do you remember how old you were? Let's say when you decided, okay, I want to step into filmmaking, and then at what point did you actually start doing it?
I guess it would be the era of DVDs, right? Because my mom started buying DVDs for me when they first were coming out. And the thing that I loved about DVDs, and this is probably when I'm 12, 13, they start adding those the special features. You know, you turn that DVD over and see, oh, what kind of special features it got. And some of these filmmakers are putting 6-7 hours of BTS on the movies, and that changed my opinion of it, because I now got a glimpse into how it works. I could see, it's not impossible. They're all just a part of a team, and they're all just working together to try and get something done. So after watching the Lord of the Rings DVDs and the Matrix DVDs, which were pretty much, 60 hours worth of film school rolled up on a $25 DVD. After watching those, I knew I had to somehow be a part of filmmaking. So the first time I ever picked up a camera with the intent of filming some sort of narrative project, I was probably 14 years old, picking up my Uncle Pete and Auntie Liz's little homemade video camera, still on the mini DVS tapes, to record. Me and my cousins recorded the Claire Witch Project, which was a spoof of the Blair Witch.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like those tapes are lost, but we used to make like kung fu movies. And there was basically like disasters waiting to happen because there was like no safety, no nothing. We're like 12. And like I completely understand. Like we were filming like on like video 8 cameras, like dude, like very expensive tape. Like we got in trouble. And but yeah, dude, that sense of that willingness to create. I don't know. Some people I've heard some people call it like a whimsy, like this need to create worlds and find expressions, whether it be film, comic books, music, whatever. It's something that people lose along the way. And I don't know, like as I was telling you before we were on, like I feel like this connection thing, like this indie movement, it's awakening this need to people, and it's very exciting to be a part of. And on that note, dude, Rad Rose looks amazing, sir. Right? And
thank you.
Hats off. I mean, as I said, like I haven't read it yet. I've just seen like I've heard you talking about the project, and I've seen the art. I love the concept. I love the designs. The color scheme is just, dude. I'm looking forward to reading it. Really
awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much.
I want to make a little shout out back to DVD commentaries real quick, because dude, DVDs used to be the shit back in the day. That was like a bit of a hobby of mine, I guess you could say. Like at 16, I got to move into a shed in my parents' backyard. It sounds horrible, but it really wasn't. It was pretty rad,
awesome.
Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have like the internet, the Wi-Fi wouldn't reach out there though, right? Just I was like, whatever. So what did I do? I watched every DVD I had on commentary, just for fun, really, because it was like you'd watch the movie, then you're like, all right, let's see, what the commentaries were. I remember the Grudge DVD.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's got a ton of commentary. There's several different, I think there's like 3 or 4 different tracks. That's one where I would just, as a kid, instead of watching the movie, I would just throw on the commentary track, because like it was just fun to listen to the actors talk. They do one with the writer and director.
Yeah.
Dude, they
very understated.
Yeah. Those were they're a lost artifact of a better time.
They are, man. They are.
It's giving me an idea. Giving an idea, like maybe with indie books, if there's a way to channel that energy. I mean, supplemental books is always like a next story. What about you make like a making of book of your story,
dude?
For sure, man.
How would that look?
Absolutely. I would definitely read something like that. I was actually thinking about doing something like that with Rad Rose, because the process of just working with an artist and a letterer is just so cool in the first place. But doing it over like a video where you're actually able to show the breakdowns and discuss what went into creating, pages 1 through whatever, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, dude.
That is an interesting concept. Yeah, like I could definitely see somebody, let's just say like in a book form, like start to finish, like script, contacting the artist. It could be like all the way up to like pre-press and print and like any issues you might have. I mean, that's There's
Yeah,
lots of valuable books that are coming out like that. There's
yeah,
it's not
like
out yet, but
yeah.
I backed it on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Filth and Grammar. It's
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I can't remember the name of the lady, but it's the woman that was in charge of running Vertigo for
Mm.
DC back in the day.
Oh
The
wow.
main editor of that, yeah, she put out a Kickstarter for an editor's handbook.
Oh, I have her name in the tip of my
Wow.
tongue. And,
Yeah, it's something, but I was like, okay, that might be
yeah.
valuable because she hired like Neil Gaiman, Bill
Mm-hmm.
Whittingham, like
Yeah, like
just
Mm.
heavy hitters, man.
yeah.
Jesus.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
that'd be too much fun, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like everybody, like what I really love. I mean, I'm always going to come up to the indie movement because I mean I'm very passionate about it. Is that it's not shared universes, so it's not the same world. So every book that's coming out has a lot of explaining to do. I don't know if this sounds
Right.
like. So I don't know. I just like I would love to see like character sheets, like set designs,
Got some
mood
explaining to do,
design.
Mr. Chiza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. I mean, I know that sounded like whatever, but I mean, English is
No,
not
no,
my first
no.
language, and
Yeah.
I'm just translating from Spanish here. Like it was very polite in Spanish. Uh,
I'm just having fun.
yeah, but yeah, dude. Like there's things that I see, like maybe in a panel, like you see like a cityscape. What does what's the rest of the city like? You know,
Yeah,
even like diet. Do they eat what we eat? How does it
right.
work? Like these are questions I get, and I don't know. Like
Absolutely.
it would be really cool if I don't know. Eventually, we start doing that. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think one of the biggest challenges I have right now is we're on we're working on the art right now for number 4 of Rad
Oh,
Rose.
awesome.
And
Dude,
since
right on.
since the story has started from before I pitched it to now, it's changed and grown so much. It's like this living, breathing thing that I'm can barely contain at the moment. And
Awesome.
it's so hard to not discuss what is going on in the story right now because you do have to set up so much. You do have to world build all on top of being exciting for the reader. And but that's like the great part of trying to write within 22 pages.
Yeah.
And having a challenge of, can you tell, in this case of Rad Rose, 4 small condensed stories that make one
Yeah.
great story. So it's fun, but yeah, it's tough not to talk about it and answer those questions. I will say I had to trim out so much of issue 1. Like I had written this huge, epic, long thing that answered questions like that. What's the city like? What's the atmosphere? What are the people like? The cultures there? And it was like, that's all got to go because we got to get to the story. But it's there, man. It's there. That's
Awesome.
that's what I love about indie books, because if you can peek beneath that layer and see the amount of work that some of these creators are putting into their own worlds, it's just inspiring.
Dude, yeah, I read, like I said, I read Rad Rose this morning. I'm gonna say hello to Jake. What's up, Jake? Shout out to Kristen
Jake.
Rossi on the art.
Hey, Jake.
Yeah, dude. The art, Kristen Rossi, that guy is actually we'd love to get him on the show at some point.
Oh yeah,
dude. He's
you
on
got
fire
yourself
for sure.
You got yourself a killer for this book.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a madman.
That guy's an assassin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was, like I said, I was reading it this morning. I think I can maybe tell, not to say that it feels like there's anything cut out because it definitely doesn't. But am I allowed to say sort of things that not necessarily happen, but like when they go out into the town, is that looking for their friend? Would that be maybe a point where possibly you had to cut something out? Was there like more of that story you originally had wanted to tell when Rad Rose and that other, if that makes sense? I don't know how much of it I can say without spoiling.
Yeah, don't spoil.
Yeah,
it.
no, you're fine. I mean, it's not too much of a spoiler, anyways. I mean, if book's been out for a while now, anyway, so go pick it up if you haven't checked it out yet,
guys. For real.
Yeah.
But yeah, when there are moments like that where you just you have to find yourself really cutting out anything that's not important to the current story, and I got to really thank Peter from Alterna, who doubles as as editor, shipper, he's everything that Alterna is.
Yeah.
And he takes the time to help out writers with the editing and stuff. So he really helped me focus and condense the most important aspects of the first issue, because it looked much different before I sent it to Peter. And he was a great collaborator in the sense of shift this here, highlight this, take this away. And I think it'll be something really good. And he was right. It ended up working out great.
I don't know many people are like this, but they realize how much of an asset is working with Pete Zimetti. Like that guy has so much experience and just of the craft of comic books. Because I mean, I've been a storyboard artist for over 20 years, and whenever I hear Peter speak, the first thing that comes to my mind, I'm not doing storyboards anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot to learn, man. And dude, having somebody like Peter, he'll lend you his ear and just get some notes from him, dude.
Yes, absolutely. And it's the team. It's the creators at Alterna as well. Like everybody is so friendly and open to, I mean, Spencer and Ryan. They really were the first guys from Alterna to kind of bring me in and just let me know, like, dude, we're here to create and collab like everybody else. So feel free to reach out. Had me on their shows. Like, just have been menches, and
real mensch.
Real mensch. And it's been so it's been really easy, like hopping on the Alterna train. But yeah, to your point, Peter is like, we're being with Alterna is like being a part of a superhero team. It feels like.
Oh, awesome.
Let me say hello to the chat real quick, because speaking of some real mentions, I think everybody in the chat right now, except for Collision Bomb, has been on the show at one point. We got Spencer in the house. Morning, Spencer.
Spencer.
We got Ashton Jackal. What's up, Leo?
That's another mensch.
Yep. Dion, good morning, everybody. Right on, guys. Thanks for coming by, everybody.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So, David, you mentioned film school. Tell us about that, man, because that's like one of those ones. I don't know how often I've ever bumped into somebody that's ever been to film school, so I'm just really curious. Tell me about it.
I mean, film school was a great experience. I went to Full Sail online, and their program that they had was incredible. You learn so much about the history of film, what it takes when you're on set, what you want to accomplish, and my kind of focus path was digital cinematography. So learning about lighting, learning about the art of cinematography, and what it takes to kind of stand out in that sense was the education was invaluable. I did, however, go to film school at the worst possible time that anybody could ever go to film school, because as technology has progressed, anybody with a camera now can be an amazing filmmaker. So people can make amazing films on their phones now. So the transition of kind of stepping into a field professionally with a degree, and having the competition of people be so many people that did not go to film school and are just finding success, and perhaps that they have gear that's expensive and valuable to a team, and it's really easy for these guys to get jobs as cinematographers. So to come out of film school in 2016 and kind of be in that phantom zone of, damn, what do I do now? I'm up in Seattle area, so the only work available really for me at this point is commercial work, because at the time the tax incentive to shoot films and television was one of the worst in the world to shoot in Washington. So it was just a lot of commercials. No, it's funny, man, because this is all what led me towards trying to tell stories in a different way. So
you're describing my life right now. So that's why I laugh.
You can relate them, brother, because you step foot in the field, you're ready, you're eager, and you get. I guess you could look at it as you just kind of fail. You fail at breaking through. You fail at getting sustainable work, and it was a tough point to kind of realize, like, damn, okay, I just went to school for something, and now I don't get to kind of follow that typical college route where you get to go work in your career right after you
Yeah.
finish school. So that ultimately, that was what led me to try thinking about storytelling in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay, I don't want to like put myself above you, but that the same thing happened to me because I studied classical animation, and when I finished, the CGI revolution started. So I can really relate to everything you're saying. And what happened to me is that I had to become a fixer. And you know what I mean? Like, well, as you were saying, like somebody would come, like, okay, I didn't went to film school, but I just bought an Alexa, and then like that's the guy they call because he has the equipment. Like the same thing happened to me. People would say like, okay, I have Maya, like I have Maya too, but you don't know how to use it the way I use it. So, I mean, coming up with real, yeah, it's very hard to break in because I mean, you feel like you have all this knowledge, but people just don't care. It's like, okay, who can do it? What's your price? What's your price? We're going with
Yeah.
this guy. So that's it's very frustrating. But what happened to me is that I just allowed the work to speak for itself, and it took years, man.
Yeah.
Like I graduated in 2002, and by 2006 I became like a household name within the Panamanian circuit. Like, okay, if somebody fucks up your piece, call this guy.
Oh,
'Cause-
nice.
Yeah, because but that to me was horrible because I had to like reverse
Right.
engineer what people were doing, and most of the guys like there was like I'm an animator because they have Flash, but they don't have like the backbone of what really an animator is. And dude, like as I said, like it's a different path, but in the word, like I don't know, I never saw it as failure. Like I never went there. You know, I only saw like, okay, it seems like I fucked up, but what I learned is still valid, and it's
Yeah.
valid because I mean sometimes clients say like I don't like it, and they can't explain why, but you are seeing it like, dude, like the lighting is completely off. This is not the lens for this shot. You know, like,
Right.
and that's something that I turned myself into a fixer, but dude, like you're doing well too. So
Thank you,
I don't
man.
know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like I don't know. Like don't see yourself as a failure, man, because it never really is. Like we're always on a path. We're walking. As long as you don't sit down and start crying, then
Right.
nobody has failed.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, dude.
So with that, I actually want to share. You sent me a couple things. Which one of these should I share? The Style One Redux or the We Are Forgotten, the short films? So I kind of like
Oh,
you to just sort of talk us through it. You know, kind of your process and the creative thoughts and all that, if you'd like.
yeah. Yeah. So Style One was what was my first step into telling some sort of story. So from 2009 to 2012, I worked up at Washington State's biggest ski and snowboard resort, Crystal Mountain, and
Right on.
that was being out there and riding the type of terrain that we have up here. It's big mountain stuff. It's powder. It's fast. It's insane, and we really wanted to. I really wanted to capture it, man. And this was my last season up there, and this is my buddy Anthony McMullen. Shout out to Anthony. I was roommates with him.
Dude.
We worked together, and he's an incredible snowboarder. So he was the subject for shooting the movie.
Oh my shit.
This is Snorting Elk Bowl. That's a big old bowl that he just shredded.
Dude, that's a huge. So a bowl is that essentially it's just a mountain, but it's kind of
Yeah.
sort of at that. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a cool way of saying a mountain.
I've never felt so Latin American in my life.
Yeah, I've never really seen snow. We get like I live in Florida, and people would think it was crazy that we got snow, but I mean, we get like little sprinkles of something that might resemble snow on the
Yeah.
coldest days here. But aside from
man.
that, like I've never seen anything like this at all. I'd like to for
it's
like maybe just a week or something.
oh,
and then
you
go
would
back to
love
the
it.
warm, but
I guarantee if you've ever stepped on a skateboard, a longboard, you like doing anything with speed, snowboarding absolutely changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. Sent
right
me
on,
down a
bro.
path that I'm never going back on. And yeah, this is I just picked up a camera and wanted to start shooting, and that's what made me kind of push towards wanting to do film. And this season that we shot this footage, it just happened to be one of the craziest snowfall seasons. As you can see, the amount of snow up at Crystal this point of the year. This is in the springtime. Look at that. That's waist deep. That's almost up to my nipples right there.
Oh.
We had to snowshoe
Dude,
a couple miles to find this spot. No, untouched, and we're riding down a creek bed in that shot, and you can just see how much snow is there.
Dude. Like, I mean,
So
I started in Canada, so I went to Whistler Mountain once.
Oh, yeah.
I tried snowboarding, fell on
Yeah.
what I fell on what felt like a block of ice. I took that shit off and went to the bar. So,
Yeah.
Respect. That's all I'm gonna say, man.
Yeah, it's it can be defeating for a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
When I lived in Australia after my first season and was there for their winter, believe it or not, they have mountains that you can actually ski and snowboard down. And we were able to look at Anthony in the Bigfoot costume. He just dropped that cliff. Just dropped like a 30-foot cliff in a Bigfoot costume.
Nice.
But yeah, in Australia, I learned how to instruct, and it totally changed. Like it's such a big difference if you're learning snowboarding or skiing through somebody who actually knows how to teach it. Because being with somebody who just knows how to ride, that doesn't mean they're a good teacher and that they can actually teach you the proper techniques that you need. So my challenge in life is to try and teach people how to snowboard that never done it. And up at Crystal, actually, we had workers from South America, usually Colombia. They would come up and work for the season. And I got every single one of those Colombians on a snowboard, and I got them to go down a mountain, and some of them hated it, but some of them loved it, and it changed their life. So
Dude, that's the thing about Colombians, man. They are everywhere. They're like the most industrious people of South America. Like wherever you go, from Colombia.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Love those guys.
It's the testament to the program too. We had people from Argentina, from Colombia, and from Mexico. So
Awesome.
it was a good group of people up there.
okay.
Dude, look at that. Jesus.
So much snow.
That's like horror film for me.
That's
like,
that's in the middle of a storm. I think it would snow so much you could ride down the mountain, go back up to the top, and you wouldn't see your tracks. Your tracks would be gone that you just left. It's like, woo, all right, this is a storm.
Yeah. Dude,
Very
now that our summer is starting, I'm gonna do some trekking videos. Because, like,
nice.
I've been living around here for like about a year, so I'm new to the place.
Yeah.
And during the rain, you can't really visit the waterfalls because we have waterheads. I don't know if that's making any sense. So a waterhead is basically when it rains a lot, it comes like a wall of water coming down, and it will like wash you away and you die. So you basically don't go to rivers here in rainy season. You go there in the dry season. So since it's starting, I'm gonna start doing some videos because I'm surrounded by 9, like very beautiful, like dude. Like I mean, and seeing what you're doing here with
That's
Spencer
legit right there.
and the guys and Ginge, I'm planning on doing something called Jungle Con, which is basically bring the indies to Panama and just have fun and do like a convention thing, but also take you to different places. Like we can go spearfishing, different beaches, whatever. With
awesome
and whatever. So yeah,
We've got a
that's
saying. I live in Panama City, Florida. Pedro lives in Panama City, Panama. And but we've got a saying here in my town. It's kind of like a party town or whatever for spring break. And we've got a saying. It's come on vacation, stay on probation. And I have a feeling like that's what would happen if everybody went down to Panama.
Yeah,
and partied with Pedro for a week. We'd all just end up in trouble.
Oh man.
Okay. So
dude,
yeah,
awesome,
is there
man. Getting me inspired, man.
Yeah, is this the was that latter half sort of the making of, and this is kind of the story element of the of your short
Well,
film?
the whole kind of narrative part to it is just what a season feels like from beginning to end. So if I sent you those clips in the middle of the things, I apologize for that. But yeah, this just chronicles the beginning of the season. This here is footage of our biggest storm that we had in December. And you can just see, I just set the camera up out a window for a few hours, and you can see how much snow just accumulated. So it just kind of highlights the biggest storms that we had and how me and Anthony would pass the time. You know, we lived in a room above a bar with no windows, and
Nice, bro.
we really, you know, in a small room, like being roommates like that, and going through also working together, but having the release of collaborating and going out on the mountain and working together to get these shots. Oh my gosh, man, the perfect balance. And I've, ever since working with Anthony and becoming friends with him, he's become one of my best friends, and he's a part of every single thing creative I've ever done since, whether that's just reading the script to Rad Rose or being an actual actor in movies with me. He's stepped up and done quite a lot for me. So he's a great friend to have.
Right on, bro. How long ago was this filmed?
This was the 2011-2012 season.
Okay, cool.
So is this film in 720p or?
Yeah, I shot this with a Sony Handycam.
Yes.
So
yes, I
the
still have
Sony
the eye.
Handycam was my first camera I ever bought with the intense purposes of video, and I bought a little like $20 Amazon kit of lenses that I could attach to it. And this final season we were shooting stuff. It was like right when GoPros and contours were coming out, so we got to use those as well.
Very cool. So what took you to Australia? I mean, just to sort of get away from the cold, but you ended up going to the mountains, and I'm sort of curious, like
snowboarding, man. I wanted to at the end of my first season, a crew of filmmakers and snowboard shop owners from Australia came to Crystal to shoot a segment. They're from the Ballistic Snowboard Shop, which is still a shop in Australia. It's the biggest supplier of winter sports gear for Australia, but the focus is on snowboarding. So they came through. I ended up taking them around the mountain, showing them spots, and they hooked me up with meeting Northwest legend Temple Cummings. And we rode and shredded with this guy who has been a staple for Northwest snowboarding since it started. And so riding with him, seeing how he rode the mountain, and then riding with this film crew was like, dude, I got to find a way to do something like this. So I just asked him, hey, if I make it to Australia, can I get a job? Can I get a job with you guys? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Just let us know when you get there, and we'll make it work. So I ended up going. I had to get in somehow to get a visa to be able to be there longer than, just a few weeks. So I hooked up a job interview with a mountain to be a snowboard instructor, and got there, started working the job, started riding the mountain. The job ended up not working out. Just timing and everything was just off. So I called the shop, was like, hey, can you guys get me in a job? They said yes. It was like a 6-hour bus ride to Melbourne. And I got there and started working, man. And snowboarding is what took me to Australia. It's wild.
You went to Melbourne, Stabber McGee's.
I did. I was in Sydney for a bit. Went to Melbourne, and then I spent 2 weeks, I spent 1 week during my birthday up in Darwin, in the Northern Territory, straight outback, crocodiles, giant snakes, giant spiders.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to see, East or Western Australia, which I would love to next time. But I did get to see from south to north, which was really cool.
Right
awesome,
on.
Man.
Okay, very cool. So is this is the snowboarding film? Do you have any other films you've done? Any other shorts you've created, or is this just the one? Or not? Anything fantastic.
I did have one that I did during film school. That was a short film called "We Are Forgotten." And
so I have that right here. Okay,
yeah. So I shot this. This was, I think, 2014 that I shot this. and this was a huge learning experience for me doing We Are Forgotten. It was my first kind of real narrative piece of content that I was shooting, and it taught me a lot of lessons because I had this, like 60-page script that I was ready to shoot, and we only ended up getting a fraction of the time to shoot it. So during the editing process, I had to reshuffle the story and kind of change it. But this story is something very near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to turn this into a comic book.
Oh, awesome!
In the future, and this is a great piece of work to have, to be able to reference with the artists and kind of build the story much more to what was able to be shown on screen.
Could you give us a little? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say we shot this at a spot where we had to hike about 2 miles in the mountains and camp overnight to shoot in this area. And you can just see from the footage, like this place is like an old overgrowth forest. And the idea of the movie is these two characters here, Cooper and Evie, about 15 years after a zombie apocalypse has hit, it's forced these survivors up into the mountains to live and survive. So these two have been up there surviving for quite some time. They have a whole little, home area that they have defended and supplied. And this first story is focused on the main character, Evie, who is kind of the focus of the narrative push here. There's Anthony. There's my boy Anthony, from the snowboarder to Cooper.
Awesome, dude. Actually, the fact that you want to turn this into a comic book is always making me think, okay, so the color palette is solved already, so that's good. And I'm seeing, like, just by the choice of angles you're choosing here, the kind of story you want to tell, which is superb, man. Superb. Like, I love your style, man.
Thanks really a lot, nice. Man. Appreciate it. I put a lot of time into this. I actually did the Foley sound for everything too. So awesome. All the sounds of, like, that water, the mountains, the footsteps, all of that stuff was done by me in post, and it was an extremely long process. But man, it's worth it, because the one piece of advice I'd give to filmmakers out there, if you're new to it, if you're thinking about getting into it, you could have the worst camera in the world. Just make sure your sound is good. If you have good sound and people like listening to your film, they will watch any shitty angle you set up, any shitty lit thing. Just focus on sound.
Interesting. Very cool. Alrighty. Well, this would be a great segue, I think, into talking about what you're up to currently, which is, of course, Rad Rose. And
oh yes,
yeah, bro. Can you give us? I'm sure lots of people in the chat are already familiar with the project, maybe even have the book already. Thank you, Jake, Mr. Jake Twister. He was on last week. Great episode. Yep. Check out the.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, David Chiza right here on Twitter. But could you give us a kind of a quick rundown of what is Rad Rose? What do you got going with your universe there?
Yeah, absolutely. Rad Rose is an epic in every sense of the word. It's a vast story that's built up of a bunch of different places and time, and specifically the story of Rad Rose talks about the first mortal to ever become a god. So in Rad Rose, there's a place called the God Realm that oversees the infinite realms and different universes that are a part of the story. And when you die, your soul goes up to the God Realm and either goes to the high halls where you celebrate the afterlife, or you go to the God's death, which is like the hell of the realm. At some point in time, the gods decided to fight each other in tournaments of combat. After thousands and thousands of years of endless war, they turned combat into something competitive and entertaining. Well, when they eventually got bored of doing that, they had the smart idea to allow mortals to fight for godhood. So with the intent of not really ever seeing a mortal win the tournament, they had fun. They had mortals come and try to fight gods, but it always ended with gods killing the mortal souls. And in turn, the souls would now have to serve the gods in any, capacity that they would decide. So Rose is the first one to break that mold. She actually is the first mortal to defeat a god. And the deal is, if you do that and you beat a god, you become a god, and you're also gifted with a trophy that is called the Universe Trophy, which is your own universe to rule over, to influence however you see fit. So when Rad Rose #1 begins, she has escaped the god realm because she has tried to kill it and destroy it, and she ultimately has failed. So she's fled into her own universe and is hiding out there, and has been secretly changing, influencing the world and the people in it to kind of create this underground generation of fighters that could possibly be on her side should the gods ever come back for their revenge.
Dude, absolutely.
Dude.
We got a quick question
Wow.
real quick before we get back into Rad Rose. I just wanted to ask this real quick. So Ashton Jackal wants to know, it looks like you added the ratio in post-production. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Yeah, we for that cut of We Are Forgotten that's on YouTube, I wanted it to be cinematic as possible. So we did add the ratio cut there, and that was actually a big lesson I learned shooting for the first time. To a little trick, if you're at home and you want that ratio, but you don't want to have the cutoff from the film, you can put 2 pieces of Scotch tape on your LCD to represent where the ratio would be, and then you can stay within that. And so that was a big lesson I learned. So shout out to Ashton for
noticing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fellow film buff.
Yeah.
Right on. So do you mind if I share like the first 2 or 3 pages of Rad Rose?
No, please.
Yeah, because it kind of goes over what you were talking about there. Let me pull this up. Yeah, bro, I definitely love the setup. It's like I mentioned earlier, it's got some Dragon Ball Z to it. Let me make sure.
Yeah, but I like the scope, man. Because just like, okay, she influences her own universe. That goes beyond the hero. It goes beyond,
Yeah,
like how powerful she is. But when you see the cover, like, you wouldn't really know. It's just like, okay, it looks like a badass chick kicking some ass and having teeth flying around. Like,
right.
you don't expect this kind of story, and that man, it's a very pleasant surprise. Like when I heard that concept for the first time, I was like, whoa, okay, nice.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Let me ask you this. I think I've caught on a couple other streams that you've spent a lot of sort of time in the world building element of this.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about sort of how you build out your lore? Do you do like a universe Bible? Is there some sort of other kind of books that you really kind of, how they did it? You know what I mean? Just sort of influences like that.
I'll say that because I was so new to comic books at the time, I think one of the benefits that I had was originality on my side. I could kind of take influences from things, obviously Greek mythology, Norse mythology, ancient Egypt. These are things that I started reading about first to kind of understand like the idea that all gods from all religions exist in Rad Rose world. So what would that be like? And as far as the world building goes, that question for me in itself was enough to be like, damn, I want to figure it out. I want to explore that. And that just ended up opening so many doors. And even just thinking that would be a legit thing, that all the gods would be real, and that at one point in time, they've all been at war with each other. They all know combat. Like the idea that they're all just killers and kings and queens, like that idea is exciting to me. And the fantasy influences in my life, because I'm a big fan of fantasy, and growing up with Lord of the Rings, like I said, the films, and seeing this world that was created on screen, and then reading the books and being like, oh my god, this guy's nuts with what he was doing. His own languages, the maps and everything. Like, it just that was something that I was like, okay, this is what I want to bring, this kind of fun and excitement to a comic book.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think you definitely nailed it in terms of. I think that is that a Voidwalker, or is it just sort of supposed to be a reference at like the color palette in the back of the?
Christian is always sneaking in references to things in his work, so you'd have to ask the man himself. Because sometimes I see things too. I'm like, wait, have I? What is that, Christian? What are you putting in there? So yeah, he's like you guys know, he's extremely talented, and so when I'm always looking at like a Waldo book when I get pages, like what's this? What's he going with that?
So are any of these characters, characters that do you sort of have your like kind of Eternals roster of like your sort of Mortal Kombat sheet of characters, like other gods that we'll expect to see later on? You know what I mean?
Yes, we do. I have to say a lot of where the story has gone is because of Christian's art. So I don't know if other people work like this when it comes to comic books, but for me, the thing that I found most exciting about film was that you get to make a movie 3 times. You get to sit down, write the movie, you get to shoot the movie, and then you get to edit it. So my process for writing the comic books, I'll write a script, I'll send it off to Christian, he'll send me the art back, and then I go back again and tweak the dialogue, the captions based around Christian's art and where he's taken it. So a lot of ideas for future characters have come because of Christian's art and his design for characters. So we have core gods who were kind of the beginning, first gods is what we call them. And there are characters for that. And then the young gods, which Rose was the first of. She represents that next generation of gods that are from being mortals and have been turned. And so there's many characters in the future of Rad Rose. And yeah, you never know. You might be seeing first appearances, cameos of characters that will be in future issues.
Dude, I'm just intrigued. Like, what makes you a god? The trophy or winning per se? Like, dude, there's so many questions.
Yeah,
you've made a very, very interesting world building here.
Thank you.
Dude, I just can't wait to get my hands on it.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Man, I wish I had some more questions about it. I mean, it's obvious. I know you're a fan of Rose Namajunas. She's the model for the character. Are you into UFC? Do you do any martial arts or anything like that? Or
oh yeah, fighting has been a part of my life for a long time. My dad let me watch Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward. Was the first boxing match I've ever seen. If you're not a fan of boxing, you don't watch combat sports, just go watch that fight. Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gatti, and by the end of that fight, you'll be on your feet in disbelief, clapping, cheering. It is one of the, still to this day, it is one of the most exciting, most inspiring fights that I had ever seen. And for that to be the first fight that I ever saw, it changed my life. And my dad would always go to friends' houses where they'd be watching pay-per-views for UFC and for boxing. And at the time as a kid, I didn't really pay attention too much to it, but sneaking glances at fights and finding an interest that way was very exciting to me. So yeah, as I've grown up, I've had friends in my life that were boxers, that were into MMA, jiu-jitsu, and I've always tried to gain knowledge off of them and learn different aspects of martial arts. And although I'm not like in a gym every single day studying, I would consider my mind to be sharp when it comes to martial arts. So
yeah, that's
the
cool.
influence.
Like your life informs your storytelling. So
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the aspect that the gods were, the creators of martial arts, and that it's ultimately their styles that people use on Earth in everyday martial arts was something I was like, damn, yeah, let's get the creators of these martial arts and see how powerful they can be.
Yeah. So, Ginge, what's your first boxing match you ever saw? Because that was a great note. So now I'm curious, which is the
Um,
first boxing match or any
I
like
don't,
fighting?
man. So I grew up in the South, and our pay-per-views was kind of it was WWF growing up. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
which was a lot of fun. So I grew up in the the Attitude Era. So
Oh yeah.
it was like a full trailer park event. Either my parents would
Oh yeah.
like we'd just trade off pay-per-views like each
Oh
Sunday. So yeah, I was actually talking about I've been watching The Rock since literally since he was on WWF way back in the day.
When it
It
was
was at
Rocky Maivia.
the People's Eyebrow, like
Yeah.
the most electrifying entertainer and sports entertainment or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, boxing. I got into boxing later.
Mm.
I don't off the top of my head know a whole lot about boxing or boxers in specific, but I do love the two of those names you mentioned, Mickey
Yeah.
Ward and
Mhm.
Arturo. Those are like two fantastically named boxer names that just sound
Oh my god.
like
'Cause I
fictional
don't know,
boxers. I mean, they're
but
real guys, but they
yeah, I
sound
don't know
Amazing.
if you guys know this about my country, but Panama was, it's not anymore, but we were like a boxing mecca.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah, dude,
Absolutely.
we'd have like 40 something world champions, whatever. Like the first Latin
Yeah.
American, the first Latin American world champion was from Panama, Panama Al Brown in
Absolutely.
the 20s.
Wow.
But
Wow.
the first fight I remember, and I remember it clearly because my dad was making so much noise, he woke us up, and I was like 4. It was Roberto Duran versus Ismael Laguna,
Oh my god.
1979, something around
Oh.
those. I mean,
Woo.
and dude, like that changed my life. Just watching like a grown man throwing beer at the TV and being like really exciting and just like, and this were like 15 uh asaltos. How do you call, like, how do you separate a fight? And I'm missing that word right now.
You talking
Uh,
about rounds?
Rounds, yeah. It was like
Yeah.
15 round event,
Yeah.
and they won the 15 rounds. Like it was not a knockout, but those guys were like beaten to a pulp, and just like the gladiatorial element to it, and
Right.
they wouldn't allow beer cans within the stadium. So what
Yeah.
they sell you was oranges. So people like would like suck on oranges to keep hydrated or whatever, and they will throw that at the ring if they weren't happy with the fight. So
Wow.
there was like this whole culture, like it's disappeared now because everybody's singing reggaeton now, and nobody wants to be in sport. But dude, like, yeah, it's so cool that you're informing, like that really got me going, because I'm just seeing like the
Mm,
poses like Christian is choosing. You see different styles of fighting just with
absolutely.
that little thing, and then that little shout out at Nama Yunus there. It was like, dude, no, this guy's into fighting. So
Yeah,
awesome, man.
absolutely. Absolutely. And to speak to both of your points, there's a theater element, there's an entertainment element to fighting.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that I wanted to tap into that, and the idea that the gods were taking advantage of that in knowing that fights are entertaining and knowing that there's appeal behind training with different gods to learn different styles to put that into play when you go and fight a god.
Yeah.
That idea that they were stoked on that, and they were also fixing essentially fights, doing the dirty stuff with fights,
Yeah,
was
man.
something that I had to kind of bring to the forefront of a lot of Rad Rose.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So like
Very cool.
Pamphrase, Kung Fu, Muay
Yeah.
Thai, Foreign. Oh, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, I never played it, but it's something I'd like to get into. But I remember sort of just like flipping through an Xbox magazine and just being, I never had an Xbox growing up. I had a PlayStation, but my neighbor had an Xbox.
Mm.
Jade Empire.
Yeah.
It's like BioWare's kind of like ancient Chinese mythology style RPG.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that they haven't. I don't even think they've even remastered it. But man, it would be something that would be a lot of fun to play today. I think because the
Dang.
mythology is super rich. And I
I,
remember
I didn't even know. I thought they only did Dragon Age.
No, dude. This game, they taking as a blueprint the Wars of the Three Kingdoms in China, and it's all like about their legends. So you get like those
Wow.
guys like with weird looking swords and the halberds and whatnot.
Ooh,
And
that sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, really really cool, man.
Yeah, BioWare used to be the jam back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
Yeah, I
BioWare,
know. What
Bethesda, those were
happened?
the
Well,
storied Blizzard, like the three Bs.
they
Yeah.
got bought out, man. They got bought out. Like every
Yeah.
cool thing.
I know. I know it sucks.
Oh man,
All
we've
right.
been an hour and we go into that sour now. Let's go. Let's get back to Rad Rose, man.
So, is there anything you can kind of mention additionally without spoiling Rad Rose? Like, what can we expect with the next issue for any of us out there that have read it?
For the next issue, it will be available, by the way, for pre-order on Alterna's winter campaign that we're going to be dropping.
Awesome.
Issue 2 is really going to kind of peel back the layer of issue 1 in sense of you get a much more clear picture of where the story's going and what's happening. So with issue 1, I tried to kind of give homage to classic comic book setups and kind of show the reader, like, you know, here's what I love about comics, about like first issues and stuff like that. But with the second issue, it's really like, okay, here's where the story of Rad Rose is going, and it's very exciting. It's also very hard to not talk about it because I don't want to spoil it, but I can't. I will say that a lot of the stuff that's set up, a lot of the way the characters are in the first issue gets completely turned on its head in the second issue, and
Awesome.
we continue to raise the bar and take the story in a bit of a different direction than where you might think it will be going. I don't want to say that cliche.
Yeah.
You know,
Subverting
we're going to be. Yeah, I don't want to say we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're just taking the story in an original way that I think a lot of people will be stoked about, especially after issue 4 when they get a sense of the future of Rad Rose, because I will be making Rad Rose issues for a long time.
Awesome.
Yeah, I
was and regarding like those kind of catchphrases, like subverting expectation, like things are what they are, and if it's done properly, like who cares, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, some corporate term.
Yeah, exactly.
The Universe Trophy. I just, when I opened the PDF and got a really good look at the art, like, it's fantastic art. I'm a writer, though, not to say that I don't love art, but just these 3 words right here, the Universe Trophy. I was like, ooh, that sounds good. All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So,
it's a sexy phrase. It's a sexy phrase.
Yeah, I think so.
Very cool. All right, yeah, it is hard to. I would love to talk a little bit more about it, but it is hard to say too much without spoiling it. So, y'all definitely pick it up. And so you said issue 2 is coming out with Alterna's winter drop.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be available for pre-order December 21st, and I believe Pete said they'll be getting sent out to backers in February. I believe that's what he said. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to put pressure on Pete.
Don't want to jinx. I mean, he has a new printer, like I heard, and he's having a good experience with it. But yeah, let's not jinx stuff.
Yeah.
So, hey, I think Jinx just froze on us. Are you frozen, Jinx?
I thought he was just super into the first
into
page.
The art. Just going like,
yeah.
So yeah, dude, I mean, as Ginge comes back to this loop, I want to congratulate you on a great book. This doesn't feel like your first comic book. Let me just say that. And
thanks, man. Wow. I appreciate it.
He died completely.
He got booted.
Yeah. So,
get out of here, Ginge.
Get out of here, Ginge.
It's me and Pedro's show now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, like, it's just awesome to see so many. I mean, I don't know, like, you're a new face in the whole indie thing, but this is like your first. But dude, just seeing like the level of creativity, the level of expertise that Christian brought into it, it doesn't feel like your first book. So
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
I really appreciate that. And I really got to give credit to just the creative things in life I tried to do before, and
Yeah.
learning valuable lessons about working with a team,
Yeah.
being humble when it comes to making decisions about your own story and characters. And man, yeah, I'm so stoked.
Yeah, dude, that's a very, very, very dogs keep on barking. That's a very like interesting point you're coming up. Like, a lot of projects have a problem with the ego clashing,
Mm,
especially like artists, writers, and like I've noticed like people talking like they would say like yeah like there's things like people are like inflexible, and that's the detriment of the project. Like in the end, like what you want is the book to come out. You
absolutely.
know, and coming from film, like I come from the animation field, which I mean, you work with like hundreds of people on teams. You have to put that aside a bit because you're working in the betterment of the project. The project is
Right.
king. The project is king, and
Right.
yeah, dude, like this is really really good. Like, dude, what is Jim's coming back? Let me write. Oh, he had a power outage.
Yes. My,
Look at him.
can you see me? I can't see y'all. Can you hear me?
And I live
Yes.
in the third world.
I can hear you.
Hello. I can't see y'all for some reason. My
You
internet's
can't-
acting wonky,
yeah,
but okay.
Yeah, you're getting
Back in action
Hawaiian
here.
internet. Yeah,
Sorry about that, dudes. Wow, man.
that's all
Oh,
right.
all good.
That's all right. It's
Okay.
we're doing it live.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. All right.
So yeah, I think we should go before something else happens.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, guys. And yeah, let's
Yeah.
properly end the show here. David, thanks so much for joining us, bro. I'd love for you to come back when Rad Rose 2
Oh, yeah,
comes
dude.
out, and hopefully we'll be able
Absolutely.
to talk about just a lot. We'll be able to go over issue 1 a lot more, and leading into
Yeah.
issue 2. I'm definitely digging the series, and I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
where you're taking it, brother. So thanks for coming
Thank
by.
you so much. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
I'm
for
a-
having me.
Yeah, dude, it was a
I'm a-
pleasure meeting you finally, and
Mhm.
dude, awesome work. And
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna bump
Thank you
to the
guys so
back real
much.
quick,
Mhm.
and then Pedro and I, boom, David, goodbye. Love you, buddy. Okay, no, Pedro.
What's up?
You got anything to add? Fantastic episode. I
Dude,
feel a little.
Love it.
with this shenanigans,
David is a jewel. David is a jewel. Like
he's a mensch. I'm gonna be saying that
he's a
all
mensch.
day. By the way,
He's a mensch.
so thank you,
And
Dave.
the book looks awesome, guys. If you haven't got it yet, hey, go get it at Alterna. It's $1.99 for what looks like awesome entertainment. I'm gonna get it myself.
Absolutely.
And yeah, dude. Happy Sunday to everybody.
Yep. Happy Sunday, everybody. I don't recall who we have next week. I might not have somebody scheduled for next week, but I do know we have. I'm gonna get somebody, but I do know we have Mr. Simon Portier coming up on
yes.
the following week. So on the 12th, we'll be talking with Sim, and then
Looking
the
forward to
schedule's
that
open.
one.
Yep, schedule's open. Heading towards then. I want to get. There's some people I've been wanting to get on. Some people that should have been on a while back, but we waited to. I'm waiting until probably till next year, to where they have a little more free time. But yes, hey, Mrs. Chiza, want to thank her for coming by.
Oh,
Thank you, Destiny. Appreciate that. Happy Sunday to you and David as well. Jake, Spencer, everybody, Ash, and Nefarious. All right, gang. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Later.